no fear.
He extended grace even to those who dehumanized him.
He extended grace even to those who dehumanized him.
Showed respect to those who had done nothing to deserve it.
Showed respect to those who had done nothing to deserve it.
These were the very qualities
that
made him our lead negotiator. Qualities that I and so many of us lack.
Qualities that I and so many of us lack.
For the sake of our movement.
Mahmoud
took on the burden.
Of
negotiating with Columbia administration.
Of constantly
de-escalating when they refused to meet us in good faith. The university should have been grateful. When he stepped in. To negotiate a resolution. Over and over. Instead, they chose to call the NYPD on us. 3 times in 1 year. And in the end, the answer was not dialogue. Mahmoud's abduction by ICE.